After a long off-season wait, the NTT Data IndyCar Series returns. Whether you're new to the sport or just want to catch up what happened in the off-season, this is a bandwagoner's guide to IndyCar 2019. An intense 17-race calendar sees the return of a classic event at Laguna Seca for the first time since 2004. And, for the first time, Circuit of the Americas will see world-class competition from IndyCar racing. The IndyCar champion can claim he's one of the most diverse racing drivers in the world, having conquered 4 distinct disciplines of competition: the tight and twisty street circuits, the fast and flowing natural terrain road courses, the Saturday night short tracks, and the 230-mile-per-hour super speedways. Let's meet the drivers and teams that will battle for that title. Reigning IndyCar champion Scott Dixon is the greatest driver of his generation, with a total of 44 career wins. That places him third on the all-time win list, only trailing A.J. Foyt and Mario Andretti. Last year, Dixon put together one of the greatest statistical seasons of his career, and more of the same is expected in 2019. Despite teasing fans this winter, Dixon will not take the champion's advantage and run the number 1. The reason is based in superstition. After his first championship in 2003, Dixon took over the number 1 for the 2004 season. And it just so happened that 2004 was one of the worst in Dixon's career. So as not to anger the racing gods in pursuit of higher merchandise sales, Dixon will stick with the 9 in 19. 2017 IndyCar champion JOSEF Newgarden suffered a late-season slump, which prevented him from repeating his championship glory. Despite this, the American still found victory lane 3 times last year. Brazilian MATHEUS LEIST had a fairly quiet rookie campaign in 2018. He returns for a second year with A.J. Foyt Racing and is no doubt looking to make a little bit more of an impression. It would be an understatement to say that James Hinchcliffe had an up-and-down 2018. The highlight was a win at Iowa Speedway. The lowlight was missing out on the Indianapolis 500. Bumped, too slow, did not make the field. Hinch will be looking for a much more consistent 2019, and certainly he hopes that it'll be consistently at the front. A veteran of Formula One, but a rookie to IndyCar racing, Marcus Ericsson has been given the most competitive ride of his career with Arrow Schmidt-Peterson. The Swede, who still remains on the Alfa Romeo Formula One team as a test driver, has a very high bar to meet. We all saw what Robert Wickens was able to do in his first IndyCar season in that car last year. Speaking of Robert Wickens, he is making an incredible recovery after his devastating crash at Pocono last year. After being paralyzed from the waist down, Wickens has begun standing on his own. His immediate goal is to stand unassisted at his wedding to cosplayer Carly Woods. Further down the line, it's not out of the question to expect that Wickens may eventually make a return to the cockpit. And his team, Arrow Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports, have his number 6 ready to go when that day comes. FELIX ROSENQVIST completes IndyCar's Swedish invasion. An experienced open-wheel driver in his first IndyCar season, Rosenqvist takes over the seat that was held last year by Ed Jones. His team owner, Chip Ganassi, rarely hires rookies, and that should tell you something about his skill. Will Power is the defending Indianapolis 500 champion, and quite honestly, what else can you say about Will Power other than he's a threat to win at virtually every track he goes to? Tony Kanaan is definitely in the twilight of his career, but he drives for A.J. Foyt, and that means only one thing: perform at the Indianapolis 500, which he did last year, leading all the way up until the midway point in the race when a tire took him out of contention. He may not compete for race wins on the regular anymore, but once the month of May rolls around, expect TK at the front. Believe it or not, Graham Rahal is in his 13th year of IndyCar competition. He continues to knock on the door of the IndyCar elite with his family team. Sébastien Bourdais is perhaps the most decorated and accomplished driver to still be underrated somewhat. He's a dark horse for the championship for Dale Coyne Racing. As a child, Santino Ferrucci's father not only purchased him a go-kart, but a racetrack to race it on. His sponsor is a jewelry company. This young American is looking to escape the shadow of some nasty headlines from his exit of F2 last year. After losing his Ganassi ride, Ed Jones has landed at Ed Carpenter Racing, taking over the road course duties for the number 20 car with help from sports car team Scuderia Corsa. At the Indianapolis 500, Jones will run car number 64, as his boss, Ed Carpenter, will take over the duties of car number 20. Spencer Pigot enjoyed his first full season of IndyCar racing last year. He's looking to reward his boss, Ed Carpenter's faith in him with some race victories. Simon Pagenaud is the 2016 Series champion and had an uncharacteristically bad year in 2018. He's looking to turn that around. Sponsorship woes have reduced Charlie Kimball to a partial season driver. He'll share the Carlin Racing entry with R.C. Anderson, and on the off weekend where 3 Carlin drivers show up, Anderson will use number 31. Zach Veach enters his second full season of IndyCar racing once again with Andretti Autosport. Veach showed some flashes of brilliance last year and is looking to become a regular frontrunner. Scott Dixon may have been the most consistent driver last year, but arguably the fastest was Alexander Rossi, showing pure dominance at some rounds of the championship last year. And had he not had a couple of mental errors, he probably would have cruised to a championship. He's looking to rectify those mistakes this year. Despite a championship and an Indianapolis 500 win, Ryan Hunter-Reay is still somewhat underrated. Don't be surprised if he gets his second championship this year. After returning to Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing last year, Takuma Sato managed to score a victory at Portland International Raceway. They'll be looking for bigger and better things in the second year of their rekindled relationship. Kyle Kaiser and Juncos Racing are back together for another partial season effort in this year's IndyCar Series. Juncos Racing on their own may be able to piece together a full season effort with various other drivers. Max Chilton returns for another full season of IndyCar racing, looking to build up his team, Carlin Racing, in their second year. Jack Harvey and Meyer-Shank Racing are back as well, and will nearly contest the entire IndyCar Series, just missing a few of the oval rounds. They will contest the Indianapolis 500, as well as all of the road and street circuits. Englishman Ben Hanley and his team Dragon Speed are brand new additions to IndyCar and will be running a partial schedule. That's not to say they're strangers to big events. Both driver and team are veterans of the World Endurance Championship. 2018 Indy Lights runner-up Colton Herta will make his full-season IndyCar debut with a new team partnership between Mike Harding and Herta's childhood friend George Michael Steinbrenner IV of Yankee baseball fame. Another new partnership for the team, which involves Andretti Autosport and Honda, has seen the second-generation drivers setting lightning-fast times in testing. Herta was originally slated to have a teammate, that being Indy Lights champion Patricio O'Ward. Unfortunately, the team could not find enough sponsorship to keep the young Mexican employed. Because of this, O'Ward asked to be let go from the team so he could pursue options elsewhere, and at the moment, he's currently an unsigned free agent. And rounding out the season-long competitors is Marco Andretti, whose highlight of last year was a pole position he scored at Detroit. So now that we've taken a look at the full season drivers, let's get the bandwagon board out and see exactly who will fill out the Indy 500 entry list. Team Penske will be bringing a fourth car for 3-time winner Helio Castroneves. Rahal Letterman Lanigan will have a third car for Jordan King. Dale Coyne Racing's third car will go to James Davison. The third car for Ed Carpenter Racing will, of course, go to Ed Carpenter. Dreyer and Reinbold Racing has a 2-car effort once again for Sage Karam and most likely J.R. Hildebrand. Andretti Autosport will be adding another Indy-only driver to their mix, this time Connor Daly with U.S. Air Force sponsorship. Carlin Racing is looking at adding a third car for this year's Indianapolis 500, either driven by R.C. Anderson or Patricio O'Ward. Juncos Racing has a second car that they are shopping around, and possibly will have that seat filled for the Indianapolis 500. USAC team Clausen Marshall Racing will be making their IndyCar debut with help from AJ Foyt Racing. The driver will be Pippa Mann. There's an outside possibility of a second Meyer-Shank car, possibly for Catherine Legg. And yes, McLaren will make their return to IndyCar racing as a team with
Fernando Alonso.
That's right, Fernando Alonso, the two-time world champion. And finally, Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports will be looking to enter their traditional third car. Most likely the seat will go to Oriol Servia. So this has been a Bandwagoner's Guide to IndyCar 2019. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of this, what you think will happen this season. Give me some predictions. Give me some early speculative ideas for Rookie of the Year or the championship. Heck, even the Indianapolis 500. I'm excited to see what you have to say down in the comments section below. St. Petersburg is this weekend. It's a fantastic time to be an IndyCar fan. The season is about to start once again, and I couldn't be more excited. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube. We'll see you in the next video for more IndyCar and motorsport coverage.